All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Steve Cohen. Never, ever doubt the power of Steve Cohen and the Mets. So, folks, welcome aboard. Well, we all saw what happened late last night on Thursday night. The Mets making a big-time move as we are just days away from the start of the 2024 regular season. What do the Mets do? They go out there and they get a big power bat to put into the middle of that lineup, put it right behind Pete Alonso, and here we go. J.D. Martinez is now a member of the New York Metropolitans, a one-year, $12 million contract, $4.5 million guaranteed this year, and then it gets prorated for about 5 years in from 2034 to 2038. Whatever the deal gets done, the fact is the Mets have a guy in the middle of this lineup that can get that you would think, even though he is 36 years old, gives this team a lot of gravitas that they didn't have throughout the course of this offseason and really throughout the course of spring training. And this sends a loud and clear message about the Mets that we really weren't sure what that message was. We weren't sure whether this was a team that was trying to compete, as had been the modus operandi, if you will, of David Stearns, the baseball president of baseball operations, and Steve Cohen, or was this a soft rebuild? And doing that with a lot of guys who have long-term contracts, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor. Those two guys are going to be here to the end of the decade. Jeff McNeil has a 3 or 4 year contract on this team. Pete Alonso, of course, is a free agent to be in the Mets, and certainly Steve Cohen have expressed interest in keeping him here long-term. Now, what does that mean for this year? It looked like they were going to retool the pitching staff, starting rotation. Didn't look that great. Still doesn't look that great going on paper right now. You have questions about the bullpen. You have questions about guys at third base, whether it be Vientos or Brett Beatty. Questions about you have a bunch of young guys coming up through the system, and the Mets may even add more young guys through the system. All those things could happen. But right now, the Mets are showing you and they're showing their fans that they're going to try to not just compete, but even win here in 2024 by going out there and getting a player, a short-term fix at DH with J.D. Martinez. And this Mets team did not hit well at all in spring training. They had a lot of issues. They were hitting at .231 as a team in spring training this year. And this was a lot about some of these young guys. How are they going to do throughout the course of spring? And Mark Vientos really struggled in spring training. Hit only .204, even though he had 4 home runs to lead the team in spring training. Obviously, this does not bode well for him as far as DH is concerned, but hey, look, he's still going to be part of this team. He might be the opening day DH because J.D. Martinez hasn't been with anybody yet at this point in spring, and he's going to need some time to work the kinks out down in Florida and in AAA before joining the big league club. So Mark Vientos is still going to be a part of this. It's just eventually we're going to see J.D. Martinez on this team. What does J.D. Martinez bring? Well, he brings 6 All-Star appearances, including each of the last 3 years. He's a guy who might be depending on who you ask, might be a borderline Hall of Fame player. He has had multiple 30 home run plus seasons with the Boston Red Sox, the Detroit Tigers, started his career in Houston, and of course last year with the Dodgers, 33 home runs, hit .271 last season with L.A. in 113 games. He could play first base, give Pete Alonso a bit of a break. We'll see how that works out. That might be a good thing as well. So he is going to be a part of this team moving forward. So it's a solid move from that standpoint because it gives this team, like I said, a little more gravitas that they did not have going into spring training. Now, very ironic because I was recording a segment for the Fox Sports On the Road program and also for this channel as well, previewing the upcoming season for both the Mets and the Yankees. I was talking with John Pielli, the Past Ball Show. And when we had recorded the show, when we were done, this was before this signing went down, we were like, well, this could be a tough season for the Metropolitans. What's this thing going to look like? And then all of a sudden, as we're done with that show and I wrap things up, I get a call from John saying, "Guess what just happened?" As we were wrapping up, Mets signed J.D. Martinez. So I'm going to play for you a little bit of that conversation that we had. That will also air as part of the Fox Sports on the Road program, and also in this one as well. So you can take a listen to that. All right, so folks, as we continue here with this discussion on the Mets now, we have to do a bit of an addendum because as we were recording this story broke, and it's kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. The Mets signing J.D. Martinez, because we were talking about, Vientos and Beatty and, their impact and their importance on the team. Well, that just got changed and thrown somewhat out the window because they signed J.D. Martinez, a huge power bat, 33 home runs last year with Boston, the Dodgers, I should say, but again, long career with Boston as well. $12 million, and I believe a lot of money deferred through 2038. So, John, your initial thoughts, all of a sudden, the thoughts of this season changes a little bit.
Yeah, it has to a little bit. I think one of the things you were thinking that the Mets really needed was a little protection for Pete Alonso in the middle of their lineup, and obviously there was a chance that they could have found that from within, whether it was Francisco Alvarez or the aforementioned Beatty and Vientos. But you're looking at a premium bat, a guy that has a 30 home run type of pedigree, a player that I've been a fan of really since the beginning of his career with the Astros. He was really one of the first players that I saw when I used to go to spring training a long time ago. He was a minor league player with the Astros, and I'm like, man, I love this guy's power, and I started to kind of follow him. And it's as a Mets fan, I got to be honest, I'm pumped.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, this is exciting when you get this kind of impact player in the middle of the lineup. You get Pete Alonso, some protection in that lineup. I mean, we were just talking about what are the Mets? What happens if the Mets fall out of it? What do they do with Pete Alonso? Well, now you get him some protection in this order that he hasn't really enjoyed in quite some time with the Mets.
Yeah, and then like I said, I mean, I think it changes the complexion of the lineup. I think there's a lot of different things you can do, but just like you felt like last year when the Mets were attempting to contend, they seemed like they were like one bat short, and if they were close enough to the fringes of contention, you would have expected them to go out there and bring in a bat at the trading deadline last year. Obviously, they were a little too far away, decided to go in the other direction. But this is the type of bat that I think they needed. And offense was a big disappointment for them last year. If you look at their run production as it went from 2022 to 2023, all their numbers from batting average and runs per game and on base percentage and batting average of runners in scoring position and stuff like that was all considerably down in the year of 2023. And then right now you bring in an all-star, somebody that is really able to add to that. I think it certainly changes the whole complexion of the lineup and may even change a little bit of what the expectations are for the upcoming season.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, all of a sudden, like you mentioned, it just adds the instant offense that the Mets did not have. I think they looked at their offense in spring training. They saw that they weren't hitting very well as a team. They needed a spark. You have a lot of guys who are, on long-term contracts. That's been the thing with the Mets. What are they going to be? Are they going for it? Are they kind of trying to rebuild? You have, guys with contracts like Brandon Nimmo, McNeil, Lindor. A couple of these guys are going to be here for a long time. What's your identity? And that's really been the question for me all spring and all off season. Well, this tells me now that the identity is, we may want to play our young guys, but we also want to win. And that just changes everything in my mind for the Mets.
Yeah, it does. And like I said, the key is, as we spoke about before, it's just, this is the apex of how you feel as a baseball fan. Opening day is coming out. There's so many games to go to be disappointed. The beginning of the season is the one chance that you think of, if everything goes right, we can do this. And that's what this time of year is about. So you obviously you're able, the day and age of free agency, the way it's going now with players not signing right away, and a lot of them lasting into the months of February and in March, you get stuff like this, breaking news in the last week of spring training that, your team makes a big signing.
Mm-hmm. So, folks, J.D. Martinez, now a member of the Metropolitans. What are your thoughts? How does this change the complexion of this team moving forward? I think this is a team that's probably an 83, maybe 82, 83 win team this year. But again, in the way that Major League Baseball is, with the expanded playoff field, 6 teams getting in each league, and when you look at last year, you had Arizona get in with only 84 wins, and they went to a World Series. Perhaps the Mets are thinking to themselves, if we can just do enough to get in, anything is possible. And that is the way the Mets, Steve Cohen, David Stearns, Carlos Mendoza have to be thinking right now.